Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope this is recording. And of course, I get a text message from my husband as soon as I press record because, one thing about me is I always want this to be like so professional and organized and have my notes like all laid out and talk perfectly on the podcast. Like I always have this, like, you need to do better. And it never happens that way. So please hold while I see what my husband is saying. Okay. Just telling me about his workday. He's very busy today. He is on call. It is the Friday before school starts back up again. This has been the longest holiday break of my life. I cannot believe it's only Friday and Milo goes back to school Tuesday. It's been so difficult because I'm dealing with a lot of stuff with family health issues, which I will talk about eventually. I kind of wanted to do an episode on going through something like that as a parent while also still trying to obviously parent your child and explaining things to them in a age appropriate way. Anyways, it's just a lot. So all that to say is this episode is not super planned out, but I do know what I want to talk about. Usually Tuesday episodes are with a guest, and moving forward in 2025, if there's not a guest lined up that I have wanted to talk to, there's not like a topic that really speaks to me where I had someone on to discuss something, then it's literally just going to be a solo and an episode that will be something like today is. One of my goals for 2025 is to read more nonfiction and do more self-learning, if that makes sense, usually through reading nonfiction, listening to podcasts, whatever that might be. I used to do it so much, and then I got so wrapped up in my own work and creating content all the time and recording all the time that I never had time to just do that for myself. It's like I'm constantly putting stuff out into the world, but I never have time to consume what other people are putting out. And so what I really love about consuming other podcasts and reading nonfiction books is that it makes me think and it gives me inspiration and it motivates me to do things differently. And then just like learning for overall health and wellness and so on. So still going to be reading my fiction novels before bed. Speaking of which, I am probably almost halfway through The Wedding People and I am obsessed. It is so good. It's exactly the kind of book that I like to read. It's just, I don't know. So far, I'm loving it. So highly recommend. The other two that I stopped was In a Holidays and Snowed In. I just could not get into those books for some reason. The Wedding People, loving. So anywho, I'm also watching Parenthood, loving as well. My mom used to talk about Parenthood all the time. She watched it when it first was on TV a long time ago. And she used to always talk to me about this series that she watched called Parenthood. And it was so good. And like it made her cry all the time. And the topics that they talk about or that the characters go through is just like so impactful. And I've always wanted to watch it, especially now that I am a parent. And it finally is on Netflix Canada. So I started watching it when I was at my mom's and I'm already almost done season 2. So yeah, so highly recommend that as well. And I'm getting lots of DMs from people who are like, I just started Parenthood. I'm watching Parenthood. And I'm like, yeah, like we're starting a cult, a TV cult. Okay, so my idea for today's episode was to go over these 7 questions for 2025. And I'll explain what they are. So when I was driving home from my parents' place after Christmas, and many of you know I had a really difficult holiday, lots of crying. It wasn't super like holly jolly. It wasn't a holly jolly Christmas. It was very just like overwhelming and upsetting. Like it was good because I was spending time with family and we're getting to talk about things but it was just really, really difficult. And I didn't know how I was supposed to drive home. My husband flew home earlier than Milo and I were going to go home. And when it came time for me to drive home, I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. Like, how am I going to drive by myself for 5 hours. Like, I couldn't stop crying. And I decided I couldn't listen to music or just a podcast that I would usually listen to where it's just kind of entertainment or pop culture stuff. I was like, I need to listen to a podcast that is going to actually hold my attention and make me think about other things. So I obviously follow Mel Robbins on Instagram and I've seen her videos, but I have never listened to her podcast. So I browsed her podcast episodes before I left my parents' house, and I came across this one that was 7 questions for 2025, and it said how to make next year the best year. And it was her episode that came out on December 26th. And I was like, okay, this is perfect. I love, at the end of the year, reflecting on the year and thinking about what I want the year ahead to look like. So this is the perfect episode for me to listen to. And it really did hold my attention and made me think about all the things that she was talking about. So it was kind of perfect. So it's basically doing an audit of 2024, thinking, because most people are just like looking ahead, like, what am I going to do in 2025? I want to start going to the gym. I want to do this, eat healthy, blah, blah, blah. But her whole thing was look back on 2024 to be able to understand better how you want 2025 to go. So she goes through 7 questions and she answers them kind of on the spot in the episode, which is kind of nice. And when you hear her going through the questions, it kind of makes you think about your own 2024 at the same time. So it's basically like collect data on 2024 before you launch into what you want 2025 to be. So I took some time to answer these questions and I wanted to go through them with you guys. So the first question is, what are the people, experiences, and commitments that created positive feelings, energy, and memories for you in 2024? So her recommendation to answer this question is to look through your camera roll on your phone, which I did, which is so interesting because you forget all the things that you did in a year. You might remember the few really big things that you did, but all just like the little, like, oh yeah, we went for dinner at this one place and it was super cute. Like Milo had all his dinosaur toys out on the table, and little moments that aren't necessarily like these big grand things like going to Disney, So I went through my camera roll and I was trying to think, like, what were the things that I did in 2024 that made me happy, and I just liked the energy of it and would want to do more of that in 2025. So traveling with my husband, we went to Germany to see Taylor Swift and visited his family there as well. And I loved that. Like, I love just doing, even though that's not like mundane, going to the Eras tour, that was super exciting, obviously. But it's like the mundane things that I get to do with my husband alone that are the funnest things for me. If we took a Sunday afternoon and just looked around HomeSense and went for lunch at a local restaurant and ran errands like at the bank or like whatever it might be, like going to the grocery store. Like, I enjoy just doing everyday things with him. And so that's kind of what that was, because we got to travel together, like at the airport, like sat in the lounge, like on the airplane, drove to where his cousin lives. It was like an hour from the airport. Like, we just got to do so many little mundane, normal things because we traveled alone by ourselves. So that was something that sparked joy and I would like to do more of, because when you're a parent, like, you lose the ability to do the everyday things alone with your partner. You do big things, like maybe you guys book a trip and you go to a resort, or you have a date night and you go out for dinner. But like, what about just like, farting around the airport and sitting on an airplane together, just like the random not big, extravagant things. Also, I did a lot of things alone in 2024. If you remember, I went to New York to see Shawn Mendes all by myself. Went to a Hanson concert all by myself. I have been known to go to the movies by myself. And I really do enjoy doing that. And it's interesting because I just started reading this book about creativity. And one of the things she talks about that is vital to kind of nourishing, or like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like igniting your creative side inside of yourself, is to do things alone. She calls them artist dates, I think. And so she recommends every single week for 2 hours to do something by yourself. That is going for a walk, go paint pottery at like a pottery place, go to the movies by yourself, go browse a bookstore, anything. And I was like, that's really interesting, because even like she mentions when you're driving, like a lot of people get their best ideas when they're driving. And I am the exact same way. I love driving, and sometimes I'll drive and just not put on a podcast, not put on music, because it's like my hands are busy and I can't really be doing anything else. And so my focus is on the road and driving, but also it just like lets my thoughts flow through my head. And it's the same as like if you go for a walk and you don't have a podcast on, or you're not listening to music, you're able to literally just think about so many things. And the book, in case you're wondering, it was written by Julia Cameron, and it is called, I want to say it's called like The Artist's Way or something. I'm not sure. But it's by Julia Cameron. If you look up like creativity book, Julia Cameron, it'll come up. It was recommended by this YouTuber that I follow. So I'm going to give it a shot. It's like a 12-week program where you do little things like the artist dates weekly. You do morning pages where you just write for 3 pages straight, not even thinking about what you're writing. It's just like a total brain dump. Those are the 2 things that I've read about so far. And then I'll start on Monday doing the actual activities, and it's like a 12-week program. So, oh my God, guys, there must be linalool down here. Did you hear? I'm allergic to linalool, which is literally in everything. It's probably like radiating from my t-shirt from the laundry detergent. And so my sinuses are like, oh boy. Anywho, that's a whole other topic, my allergies and all the things that I'm doing this year. That can be like a full episode. My like trying to live a better, healthier life episode. That'll probably be coming up soon. Other things that I absolutely loved. The Disney cruise. Honestly, I can't stop thinking about it. All I want to do is go back on a Disney cruise or go back to Disney. I am obsessed with Disney, and it's such a good obsession to have. It's expensive, but it's just, oh my God, talk about sparking joy, you know? Next year for Christmas, I want to have a little Christmas tree somewhere in the house that's just Disney ornaments. Like that's how, like I want to get a Disney tattoo. Like what is happening with me? Anyways, love Disney, and kind of an aside to that is experiencing those things with Milo and like seeing him experience those things, because not only am I enjoying it as an adult, but you're enjoying it through your child as well. Like, so I get the joy for myself just from being there and being entertained and seeing all the things, experiencing all the things. But then at the same time, it's like you're seeing your child experience it too. And it just like doubles the enjoyment, if that's even possible. So yeah, Disney, I definitely fell in love with Disney this past year, and I would like to, if we are able to, do one thing Disney every single year and make that like our family thing, whether it be Disneyland, Disney World, a Disney cruise. It's just so special. So special. And honestly, like my husband loves it too. He looks up Disney cruises now and he's like showing them to me. And I'm like, you loved it, mister. Okay. things that I loved about, okay, the Eras tour, I have this written down. Like, obviously, that was unbelievable, and I can't even believe it doesn't exist anymore. Like, I can't believe the Eras tour is not a thing anymore. So fortunate to have gone twice. I had a third ticket to a show, and I gave it to my friend who is the biggest Swiftie in the world. She's the one that actually turned me to Taylor Swift. She brought me to the Eras Tour movie when it first came out, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll go. Like, they had an extra ticket, and I was like, oh my God, what did you do to me? Like, what did you do to me? So now I'm a huge Swiftie. Like, so many things happened this past year. I'm like a Disney adult, and I'm a Swiftie, and I collect jelly cats. So now my nose is running. Do I have a Kleenex? I usually have a Kleenex in some pocket. Nope. Okay, guys, don't think I'm gross. I'm gonna wipe my nose on my shirt. This is what I deal with. This is what I live with, okay? 24/7. Constantly feeling like I have to sneeze, blowing my nose, running nose. Okay. Eras tour. Oh my God, one thing I wanted to talk about. This is gonna have to be like a 2-part episode, I think. One thing I wanted to talk about was that like sparked joy and had positive energy was meeting Jillian Harris. And so many of you guys remember from the early days of me starting this podcast being like, that's crazy that you got Jillian on the podcast, because I remember back in the day you were like, she was your dream guest. I have always loved Jillian Harris, like so many of us do, obviously. Then I got to spend a lot of time with her on the cruise. And let me tell you, she is everything that you think she is times 10. Like, what you see online is like amazing, and you're like, oh my God, she's so cool. She's so just like has this like sparkle and is like this amazing personality. Like, times that by 10, and that is her in person. So that was exciting to me. Was I have followed her for so long and always admired her. She's like a role model in a sense. Just like the way she lives her life, and you know, she's about my age, maybe a little bit older, and I'm just like, yeah, like she is amazing. And to meet her in person and then to have all of those thoughts confirmed and even like exceeded is crazy. Like, it's crazy. My husband actually messaged, this is the kind of person that she is. My husband messaged Justin after the cruise and asked him what watch Jillian was wearing one of the nights that we went out, because I loved the watch. And my husband wanted to buy me a watch for Christmas. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm not really a watch person. I was like, I liked the one that Jill had on when we went to wherever we went. And so he messaged Justin after the cruise to ask what the watch was that Jill was wearing. And Justin was like, oh, she did a collab with this brand for the Jilly box. And so it's like her collab with that watch brand. I forget what the watch brand is called. And my husband was like, oh, okay. They sent one to my house, like within days. Like that watch just like showed up to my house. And so my husband gave it to me as a gift, but he was like, Jill sent it to the house. I was like, oh my God. Like, oh my God. Anywho. And then the fact that her children are also amazing, and Milo became like best friends with Leo and still talks about Leo to this day. It's kind of sad. Like, he's always asking when he can see Leo again. And I'm like, they live far away. Like, I'm so sorry. So yeah, it was just like such a special little vacation or holiday, I guess. And I really did learn that I will never take a trip like that without another couple that has kids or a kid, because it made the world of a difference. Something else that I started to do in 2024 that I loved, that I haven't done in a while, but when I was going through my camera roll, I was like, oh yeah, building Legos. And like big Legos. Like, I want to do a big Lego, and doing puzzles. I remember I would clear off my whole kitchen table. Not that we use it to eat at anyways. It's just like usually full of clutter and mail. I would clear it off completely and build a puzzle over like a week or two. I loved that. It was so relaxing and almost like meditative, I swear. And it's one of those things again where your hands are busy, but now also your mind is occupied. And so you're just like in the zone, focusing on something else and not just like scrolling your phone or trying to be productive like around the house. It is really a good activity to do. A puzzle or Lego is basically a puzzle, but like 3D. So I want to start doing that again. I will say Lego has some puzzles. These were the absolute best puzzles to build. It's like a white background and it's just a bunch of Lego characters in a row. Those are the absolute best. One second. Who is calling me? Hello? I'm back. Sorry. I knew it was a doctor's office calling, so I had to pick up. They've been trying to get a hold of me, and yeah, over the holiday season, it's just been difficult. Anyways, I am back. Okay. I think I left off with the Lego puzzles. So my only recommendation is if you want to get into puzzles, get the Lego puzzles that has the white background with all the little characters lined up in different like outfits and costumes. It's so fun to do. Something else that sparked joy or, was positive. I love working. I mean, not working. I love watching TV. I wrote down working out and I was like, I love working. No, I love watching TV when it's good TV. So like I said, Parenthood, loving. Reality TV, always. Southern Charm, Summer House. Oh my God. Paige and Craig breaking up. Like, I called it, but I wasn't confident in my calling of that. But I was just like, it's weird. Like, they haven't been posting. It's the holidays. Usually they like show us like they're on vacation somewhere. And I just got a weird vibe. And now it's going to be so sad to watch Southern Charm and Summer House because you're going to see them together all the time. And it's going to be like so cute, and that it doesn't end well. Anyways, want to make more time to watch TV, so I'm trying to watch an episode of Parenthood before I go to bed lately, and it's been going well. And then reading, want to do more reading. I love reading when it's a good book. If I'm not enjoying it, I'm turning it off. Like, I'll give it to like 25-30%. If I'm not into it and I'm not enjoying reading, I'm not reading it anymore. I don't know how people are like, I have to finish it. If I start a book, I have to finish it. Like, no, life is too short. Okay. I can't do that. So that was that. That was question 1. Do you see how long it took me to answer just question 1? Question 2 is similar, but it's reversed. So what are the people, experiences, and commitments that triggered negative feelings, energy, and emotions for you this year? So I had to think hard about this. Obviously, mindlessly scrolling is really, and I catch myself right away. Like, I don't scroll that much on traditional social media like Instagram or TikTok. Like, I used to watch a lot of TikTok because I was so like, it was entertaining to me. Now it doesn't make me feel good for some reason. Same with Instagram. Like, I'll watch my friends' stories. I try and respond to DMs. I try and acknowledge when people comment on a video or something. But the thing about doing that is like, then I'm spending a lot of time in the app, which doesn't necessarily feel good for me. Like, there's a few creators that I like to follow them, watch their stories, look at their stuff. Other than that, like, I don't like just mindlessly scrolling. Sometimes if I'm in the mood, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna like look at TikTok for 10 minutes and just see what comes up. Because then you also like see hilarious things, but sometimes you see really sad things, and I don't like that either. It's like the wild, wild west. Like, you never know what you're going to get on TikTok. So mindlessly scrolling without intention or without being like, okay, I'm going to relax for 5 minutes and just scroll TikTok, to just constantly be picking up my phone when I have any given moment, like that's got to go. I don't like it. I've been pretty good about it, but I find, and it's probably because I'm just trying to distract myself lately, but I find I'm doing it more lately. But it's also because it's such a long holiday break with Milo from school. Like I can't really get work done. I can't really, like I feel like I can't do much. And so if he's sitting watching Lilo and Stitch, which is all he watches lately, it's like, okay, I'll sit there and scroll, but I shouldn't. Last night I made it a point. We put on a Disney movie called Bolt. We had never seen it before. And I was like, I'm not even touching my phone. Like, let's do more of that. When we're watching, or no, usually we look at it as our child is watching a movie. And so we're going to sit here and just look at our phone and like answer emails and go on Pinterest and scroll social media. No. Yesterday, I did not touch my phone. I watched Bolt, actually got into the storyline and the characters, was laughing every once in a while. And I was like, this is actually amazing. Like focusing my attention on something so just like purely for entertainment with cute characters, and I loved it. And I need to do more of that. Like put your phone down, watch the Disney movie. So less of that. Also being more selective about what events I attend. And I'm talking mostly about the PR events. There are some PR events or things that I get invited to that are like super exciting. It's like right up my alley. It's a brand that I use all the time. But then oftentimes you get invited to things where it's not really a brand you're familiar with, but the event looks really cool. And you're like, oh, okay, like I'll just drive downtown and check it out and see, like, meet some people, you know, because it's part of my job and I feel like I should say yes to more of these things and do them. But to be honest, like it does not feel good. It's not fun unless it's like a brand that I love and I know the people that work there and it's, you know, like going to a Hey You event is the funnest thing in the world. Like I'd go all day, every day. But a random brand that's just putting on some event that looks fun, I never enjoy myself at those. And it's like takes up your whole evening or like a whole day on the weekend because you have to drive downtown, just making small talk with people. So I just need to be more selective about what I say yes to because time is precious and I would rather honestly spend a night at home with my husband than go to some event that I don't care about. So be more selective about what I say yes to. Oh my God. And Pinterest. When I say scrolling on the phone, I am such a Pinterest person. I love Pinterest. When I am having my coffee, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I scroll Pinterest and save things to boards. Ask me if I've even looked at those boards since 2004. No, I just keep saving pins to boards and really good stuff. So one of the things I wanted to change about 2025 is instead of scrolling Pinterest and continuing to add to all these boards that I have, like I have one for the house, I have one for social media stuff, I have one for style stuff, I have food stuff. I want to go through all the ones that I've saved, delete ones that are no longer interesting or that I care about, and reorganize the boards and actually follow through on the information that I have saved. You know, it's like, oh, like strategies to do this or, you know, supplements that help with sleep or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sweet. And I just like save it, but then I don't do anything about it. Like recipes, like, so that's my plan. Go through your Pinterest boards and actually make notes on things that are super helpful that you want to do in the future. Don't just let them sit there and stop scrolling and adding to your damn boards. Okay. So, there was that. And do I want to go through number 3? Yes, let's. Question number 3. And then maybe I'll do 4, 5, 6, 7, on Thursday's episode. So question number 3 is, what did you learn about yourself over the past year? Okay, so I had to think about this, and I learned that I struggle focusing on things, and that on the outside, I appear to be super productive, and people are like, how can you do so much? Like the mom room, like your personal account, all the things. But on the inside, I feel like a chicken running around with his head cut off. I don't feel fulfilled in a lot of the things that I put out because I'm not spending a lot of time on them, and I'm not feeling like I'm putting effort and focus and intention behind the things that I'm doing. I'm just kind of like, like I have to like put something out. I have to record something, which is why for this episode, I made a ton of notes. I actually I thought through everything because I'm like, I want to start doing what I used to do before I got super, super busy and focusing more on reading the nonfiction books and listening to other podcasts and making myself think about all these things and putting my own spin on it and how it is applicable to motherhood and parenting and so on. That's what I used to do. And I just kind of lost my way in doing that because I've been so busy and I have a hard time focusing. So I just do things quickly because I can't sit there and focus for a long period of time. So I just like do something quickly and then put it out instead of really thinking about what I want to say or writing out notes or coming up with ideas. So that is one thing that I learned, is that on the outside, I appear super productive, but it's not a good productive, if that makes sense. So I'm really, for the last year and a half, I've wanted to decorate our house and put time into like getting the studio set up. And I have finally been taking steps to do those things, setting up my environment, because my environment has been chaos, and that's literally reflected in my brain. It's like my brain is my environment. And so I need an organized, functional environment to be able to sit and focus and produce quality stuff. It's like quality over quantity, if that makes sense. I would rather put out 3 super meaningful Instagram posts in a week than try and post twice a day, just for the hell of it. So that is one thing that I've noticed about myself and have been slowly making changes to try and, address that. One thing I learned about myself, I'm not a perfect mom. And that's okay. Like, I've really been good at making mistakes, doing something that maybe, reacting in a way that is not the best, but like giving myself grace and being like, okay, you're also a human, repairing after the fact, which is the best thing that you can do. And like not beating myself up over it. Before, like if I used to raise my voice or like things got like heated or emotional, I would think about it and stress about it for literally 3 days. Like I would have a hard time sleeping. I'd be like, oh my God, like I raised my voice and like slammed a door. Now I don't do that. I'm just like, okay, that was like a shitty situation. Let's learn from it. Let's move forward. Let's talk about it. And how can I do better in the future and learn from what happened? So I mentioned like we've had a few rough nights recently, and my husband and I decided to bring back the chore chart. I don't know if you guys remember, like a while back we made this big thing on the wall that was different tasks or things that we expected of Milo each day and the days of the week, like Sunday to Saturday, and he would get a check mark for each one on each day. And then at the end of the week, I forget what the prize was or like the reward for him, because the opposite, not punishment, but like reverse reward, like when you take something away, is not working. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, we should set up that system that we had again, because it did work really, really well. And so I downloaded a template from Etsy, and we're going to set that up with the things that we're struggling with, like answer us when we ask you a question. Like that's a big one. Good bedtimes, brushing our teeth, getting ready for school. Like he should be getting dressed on his own. Little things like that. And then at the end of the week, he can earn up to $5. And then every time something isn't checked off or something happens, like he could lose 50 cents or $1. I don't know. We haven't figured out the details yet. I'll share the template online soon. But yeah, so I'm not perfect. Like nobody is. And it's actually not a good thing to be perfect. Like we are humans. We have emotions. We struggle with things just like everybody else. And it's what you do after the fact that is really going to have an impact on them, and, you know, learning from everything and making changes for the future. So I've learned that about myself. Like I'm not perfect and I'm never going to be. So stop trying to read like all the parenting things. Like it's one thing to like better yourself, and like if you're interested in a topic or whatever, sure, like gather information. I love information and data and research and all this stuff. But like to obsess over it and to be frozen in a situation because you're trying to think of how to react, like I'm just so over that. Like I am who I am. We're doing great. I'm an awesome mom. I'm not perfect, but we're good, you know? So that mindset is something that I want to continue into 2025. I learned about myself. I love being alone. Like I love being alone. Some people hate being alone. I love it. Like even like tonight, my husband's on call and I'm like, okay, well, if Milo goes to bed and then my husband's not home, I'm just going to like snuggle up by myself and watch Parenthood. And I'm okay with that. Like I love being alone. I love traveling alone. I love sleeping alone. I love having a bath by myself. I love going to the gym alone. I love sitting in a sauna alone. I'm like a big loner loser, and that's okay. Like if you can't hang out with yourself, who can you hang out with, you know? So love being alone. Maybe I will do more solo travel this year. Another thing that I learned, this is the last one I'll talk about. I overestimate what I can do in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. I'm like, I have these big, grand plans all the time. And then when I don't do them, I feel shitty about myself. And I had to realize this because it's a problem. Like you guys have probably seen my lists in the mornings on Instagram when I'm like, oh, to-do list, like here's my plan for the day. And it's literally like a month's worth of work and errands. And I'm like, I get through maybe 2 of them. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why couldn't I do all the things that I laid out? And it's because it's too much. Like I overestimate way too much. So I need to take one of those tips. You know how people say like, maybe every day write out 5 things and 3 of them are things that have to be done that you're going to do. And then if the other 2 get done, great. If not, move them to the next day, something like that. I don't remember the exact method, but I need to stop overestimating what I can get done, especially in a day. Because when I'm having my morning coffee and I'm making a list of what I want to get done, I don't know who the hell I think I am. Like, calm down, you know? And then I need to start adding things to that list, like go to the grocery store and make dinner. Like make time for yourself to do things that you prioritize, but that you're not doing, you know, like eating healthy and trying to balance cortisol, which is my new like goal. It's a lot of thinking about the foods that you're going to eat and prepping for groceries and meals and stuff. And even though it's like so high on my priority list, I never add it to a to-do list. It's always so like work focused. So I don't know. I need to rearrange how I do my to-do list and start putting things in there that are a priority for me. I saw this quote the other day that was so good, and it was like, your schedule doesn't lie. Basically implying that you can say all day what's important to you, like, oh my God, family's the most important, but like, what does your schedule say? And I was like, wow, that is so true. And that's so me. I'm like, oh, health, nutrition, but like, where is it on your schedule, you know? So that's another thing that I need to. And the next questions are into like, what are you going to continue doing? What are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? So I'll get into all those things on Thursday's episode. But yeah, that's what I have thought of so far when it comes to those first 3 questions from the Mel Robbins podcast. So that is it for me. It is it's Friday afternoon. My husband's on call. We're gonna have dinner, maybe make it a movie night. I'm really obsessed with watching older Disney movies that we haven't seen. It's just I'm just like Disney. Like, I got a problem, guys. I got a problem. Yeah. So I'm excited. I didn't know how this episode was gonna go because it's so weird to have this job when you're going through something difficult. I was like, how am I going to hop on a microphone and be like, hey guys, happy new year. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really not happy for my family right now. So anyways, it is nice though for me to come on and just word vomit and get into things that I've been thinking about. It is a nice distraction, a nice break for me to come on and share other things in my life that are going on. A lot of people were asking about the cortisol stuff. I have so much to say about it. So I think like health stuff could be a full episode. I need to like review my entire, like the going on birth control and the weight gain and everything that I tried beforehand and why I struggle with so many of the things that people say to do and what I'm going to do moving forward and so on and so forth. Also, I have my colonoscopy on Monday, which I didn't realize you can't eat for 24 hours before your colonoscopy. So I got bone broth. I got to make some Jell-O. Oof. So yeah, not looking forward to that at all, but that's on Monday and I'll share with you guys on Thursday's episode how that goes. My husband took the day off work so he can bring me and take me home. Just like so much going on. Yeah, Milo's just in the living room watching his tablet, so I'm gonna go get him. I think my humidifier just showed up. I ordered this gorgeous humidifier. I need a humidifier. Like my sinuses, my allergies needs a humidifier. So I finally bought the one that I've wanted for a while. I'll share it when I do the health and wellness episode. I'm going to set it up. And yeah, so many things to say, guys. It's crazy to come back after not yipping and yapping for 2 weeks. Good heavens. So yeah, you might get some solo episodes in the next couple weeks because I just got too many things going on, too many things to say. And it's harder for me to do it on Instagram for some reason. Like when I come and just like sit here with my microphone, I could just talk about everything. On Instagram, like, I don't know, I just like feel weirder about it. So anywho, thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll be back on Thursday to answer the last questions of the 2025, make 2025 the best year yet. So yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.